What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Cocktails in the War Room. How are you? It's Mistress Carrie. Tuesday nights, 8:30, right here on my Facebook page. And then later on, you can find it anytime on my Facebook page or on my YouTube channel if you want to hang out with me. Thank you so much. Sorry, I got to move the microphone around. Thank you so much for joining me here in the War Room. And as you can see, I've got a co-host with me tonight in Wednesday the Goth Pug, which is where you can find her on Instagram, and her best pal Zero is here as well. Zero, do you want to come say hi? Do you want to come over and say hi? She's looking at me all weird. Wednesday's having a play date right now. Do you want to come and hang out? How are you guys doing? Thank you guys for coming back. Episode 101. I know, Ron, it's crazy. Mark says, what's up, family? Hey, Sunshine, says David. There she is, says Jeff. The ducking stingray, says Joe. Yeah, the stingray is here. And also the porno pig. We brought back the pig as well, which, as you can see, she thoroughly enjoys. And the pig has not been castrated as of yet. But maybe it'll happen tonight on episode 101. So thank you so much for joining me. I also want to let you know that tonight, full Fernandez, maybe. I don't know if we'll go full Fernandez, but there's no moonshine in this one. But over the weekend, I got to see Fernandez, who was one of my AAF to Afghanistan guys, in case you are somewhat new to the War Room. And I got a updated batch of, hey, get out of there. You can't. That's a postcard from Mummy. And I got updated sangria. So cheers to you guys. Cheers to everybody that's joining us in the War Room. Will you get off the table? You can't. Ben sick, glad to be back, says Roger. Welcome back. Hope you're feeling better. Anyone else? Anybody getting an echo? Is there an echo? Are you guys serious right now? Am I echoing, or is it just you? Hey, lady. Hey, what's up, Scruffy? How are you? Full Fernandez, baby, says Ron. Hold on. I don't know where Wednesday went, so I am going to shut her camera off. Spoiled brat. Cheers, Matt. Happy you're using the mug I sent. Are you kidding me? This is like the perfect sangria mug. I love this mug. Thank you. Okay, glad to know you guys aren't getting an echo. That was really weird. It was making me think that maybe I plugged something in wrong. So it's Tuesday, and that means War Room time, and I want to check in with you guys before we do anything. Lisa says, hi, Wednesday. She took off, though. I don't know where she went. How was your week since I saw you last Tuesday? How are you guys holding up? Good? Everybody okay? Feeling good? Family's good? Carrie, what kind of soda do you favor? I don't drink a lot of soda, but I am a polar seltzer addict. And so if I'm going to have something carbonated, I drink polar seltzer because it's delicious. Matter of fact, Fernandez has you cut his cider a little bit. I mean, his sangria a little bit with some seltzer. And this one is the raspberry lime seltzer that I kind of spruced up the Fernandez sangria with. Elsa voted last Saturday. Fantastic. Tracy says her week has been weird. Joe says, I'm fine now. I logged out and then logged back in. Okay, awesome. So no echo for anybody else. Travis says, love Polar Seltzer. Yeah, and not just because they're an awesome local company, but just because their seltzer is delicious. Christine says she's going to Daytona on Friday to go see Sully and Aaron Lewis. That is awesome. Let's see. I like the LaCroix tangerine, says Paul. Joe says he voted yesterday. Raspberry with lime seltzer. Yeah, exactly. It's super yummy. Ron says he voted yesterday as well. So I'm super glad that people are voting early. And I really hope that this year the voting numbers and the percentages of eligible voters goes way up. It's embarrassing that we have the right to vote, that there are so many people eligible, and that so many people just choose not to vote when you have that right. So you got to vote. So get your votes in, whether you go on election day or whether you go early. Will says, Carrie, family, it's been tough working through this. But Tuesday, sorry, dude, your message just went because the comments are coming in so fast. So I apologize. Brianna says, tried to vote this week. Booked a trip to Hellfest in France, says Eric. Fantastic. Monica says she voted. Ron says, I am drinking Polar Black Cherry Seltzer now. Love Polar. Yeah, it's really good. And they're not sponsoring the podcast. I just love their seltzer. But if they want to sponsor the podcast, you guys just let me know and I'll make it happen because I love their stuff. My daughter got married on that date as well. Congratulations. Oh, that's awesome, Mickey. Congratulations. I'm an election worker. It's going to be a long, long, long day on November 3rd. Well, that's the thing. If more people have the ability to go and vote early, then maybe it won't be as crazy on November 3rd, but it's going to be, hey, Ben, one of my skydiving buddies chiming in. Just rebooked a trip to New Orleans, holding out hope, says Paula. That is fantastic. Drinking an IPA, says Dave. What's going on with the dicks? Danielle wants to know. So the dicks by mail people that Monica sent the bag of dicks, they reached out to me super early on after Monica sent the dicks and Mike Shue and I ate the dicks and reached out about sponsoring the podcast. And at the time I wasn't really ready. So I said, hang tight. Let me get you some information on kind of what it's going to take and putting sponsorship packages together and stuff. And it took me a little bit longer than I anticipated to get all of the legal mumbo jumbo and all of that stuff. I sent it to him and I have not heard back yet. So I'm really not sure what's going on with the dick people. School closed for 2 weeks and we live in a small town and this sucks for my granddaughter who is 7 learning at home. Yeah, I can imagine. Everybody is having those. Oh, do I have lipstick on my face? Everybody is having those crazy times with their kids, trying to keep them occupied while they're home. I want to wish a happy early birthday. Matter of fact, can we do the birthdays right now? Because I have a birthday that I would like to celebrate today. So happy birthday. If today is your birthday, cheers to you. We always stop during cocktails in the war room to commemorate celebrations and happy news. So if today is your birthday, happy birthday to you. And you share it with Tom Petty, who was born on this date, Snoop Dogg. Both of those guys had one hobby in common. I'm wondering if everybody else that celebrates a birthday today has that hobby in common as well. I know one person that does not have that hobby in common with them, and that's my 5-year-old nephew, Brooks, who is celebrating a birthday. I FaceTimed with him a little while ago because he got the dinosaur eggs that I sent to him so he can go on little archaeological digs. So I want to wish a happy birthday to my nephew as well. So happy birthday to everybody that is celebrating a birthday today. Yes, Eric, I totally agree. I miss Tom Petty as well. My mom's birthday is tomorrow. We'll make sure you tell her happy birthday from all of us. Thank you guys for the love for my nephew. He was really cute and super excited about his dinosaur eggs and stuff. So it was nice to see him. Happy birthday to the War Room family, says Roberta. So everybody that's having a birthday today, happy birthday to you guys. So, that sangria is fantastic. It tastes delicious. Okay. So what else is going on this week? One big cocktail. It is Joseph. It's not all about the size though. Come on now. It's very wide as well. It has a giant circumference. It's all Greg Hill's fault, says Jonathan. Oh yeah, that's right, Ben. Our skydiving buddy, Tommy, who is part of an unofficial skydiving team that we have called Team One Ton. It's his birthday today too. So happy birthday, Tommy. Let's see. Best auntie ever. Oh, thank you. I'm so glad that he loves his dinosaur eggs. It's awesome. So happy birthday, Brooksy. Let's see. 43 years ago, Lynyrd Skynyrd's plane crashed. Can you believe it was on this date, 1977? No, I can't, Roger. And thank you for reminding me of that. That's crazy. Today is also the anniversary from 2004 when the Red Sox won the ALCS and came back down 3 games against the Yankees. Can you believe that was that many years ago? It was 16 years ago that the Red Sox won their first World Series in 86 years. And that victory against the Yankees was so sweet. So 16 years ago, we were all shit-faced. Just remember that, because all of us were watching the Red Sox. All of us were watching them beat the crap out of the Yankees after winning 3 straight to tie the series up. And it was 16 years ago tonight that they won the ALCS. So that was pretty awesome. Um, let's see. That's right, Mark. Aerosmith was supposed to be on that Leonard Skinner plane, but their management and their tour manager and stuff wouldn't let him get on the plane because the plane was, I guess, not very nice. And so they pulled the Aerosmith guys. They saw the plane and said, no, you guys are taking another plane. So um, Trina says, until you started doing this, I hated Tuesdays. Thanks for making Tuesdays tolerable for me. Well, thank you, Trina. It's nice to have this to look forward to with you guys as well. It kind of breaks up my week a little. And to be honest, having to come in here with you guys, I told you from the beginning, especially when the war room started back in March, that it was forcing me to like put pants on and take a shower and all of that. But because the podcast comes out on Wednesday, it really kind of kicks my ass in gear to be responsible to you guys to make sure that I'm getting everything together. So, and as things get busier, not only with the podcast, with the sit rep and all of that other stuff, see, that's Zero and Wednesday are playing tug of war in the other room. It keeps me honest and keeps me on track with getting everything done in time to hang out in the war room with you guys. So Trina says, I was too drunk to remember. No Great Pumpkin this year. I know it's, yes, I loved how A-Rod tried to swat the ball. Matter of fact, I talked to Bronson Arroyo about that. I got to get him on the podcast because when he was on my show that next year, I talked to him about A-Rod swatting the glove and all of that. And that was, of course, the same day that Bronson Arroyo broke my thumb with a fastball. Been loving this since March. Thank you very much, Erin. Love the sit rep, says Dave Green. I am so glad that you guys are loving it. Let me talk about the sit reps really quick, even though we're going completely out of order because we're just flopping all over the place. So if you guys didn't know, there is an expanded feature on the Mistress Carrie podcast that we started a few weeks ago, and we call it the sit rep or situation report. It's military jargon. And basically, if you subscribe to the Mistress Carrie podcast, not only are you going to get the weekly episodes that you get every Wednesday, but Monday through Friday in the middle of the night, you are also going to get bonus episodes, and we call them sit reps. And they are all of your music headlines, all of your entertainment headlines, and kind of some music industry stuff as well sprinkled in there. But you get everything you need to know in less than 5 minutes. So if you work from home, and your commute consists of going to the kitchen to make coffee, or heaven forbid, going to Dunkin' Donuts, or dropping the kids off at school, if that's about as long as you're in the car, I wanted to have something with the podcast that was nice and short for you guys that would kind of fill you in on everything that's going on. And obviously, as the world moves forward, there's a lot of records coming out in 2021, including this week's podcast guest who's got a record coming out. We'll talk about that coming up. But as things really start getting scheduled, there's already festival shows getting announced for next year, and tours hopefully get back on track. There's going to be a lot of news and things to keep up on, and you can do that with the sit rep. So you get it Monday through Friday, no matter how early you wake up. You should have it already downloaded if you subscribe to the podcast, and however it is that you listen to the podcast, it should be there. So whether it be on Apple, Google, Spotify, radio.com, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, Deezer, Overcast, TuneIn, Pandora, Pocket Cast, Radio Public, Amazon, and even the audio outlets in India like JioSavan and Ghana, which I hope I'm pronouncing those right. Nobody's corrected me yet. So if anyone has family in India, can you make sure that I'm pronouncing those right? Because it would be super embarrassing if I wasn't pronouncing those right. But these are all of the places where you can interact with the Mistress Carrie podcast. And you can check out the sit rep. So I'm super glad that you guys are enjoying it. And I try to put a bunch of different stuff in there. There's, Hollywood news, movie headlines, a lot of music stuff as well. Brianna says, I agree. Starting my day with the sit rep is great. I love it. Elsa says it's amazing. Great when I'm driving to work, says Danielle. Ed says, hey, Carrie, sorry I'm late. It's all good, Ed. You missed Wednesday and you missed my giant mug of sangria. Now I think you're pretty much caught up. I'm huge in Bahrain, says producer Mike. Yes, you are, Mike. You are huge in Bahrain. Jared says, listening to some of the sit reps now. And one of the things I do with the sit rep, and I do the same thing with the podcast episodes, click the description. It doesn't matter what service you're using to listen to the podcast. There are all kinds of clickable links in the description. So all the links for all of my pages are in there. The links for our sponsors are in there. And then there are also links to be able to find who's ever either on the podcast as a guest, or when it comes to the sit rep. If you hear me talking about a story and you want to know more about it, I link all of the stories with all the links if you want to buy tickets to a live stream for a band, or if you want to buy a piece of cool merch or whatever it is that I'm talking about in the stories in the sit rep. I always link the stories in the description so that if you guys are super interested and you want to go learn more, I make it really easy. There's no Googling required. All the links are right there. So thank you very much, Jared, for listening to him now. Nice skull glass, says Keith. Thank you very much. Lisa says, I love it. Yeah, so that way, if I do stumble upon something that you're super interested in, like I know today in the sit rep, there is a huge story. There is a roller coaster opening in July of next year in Dubai, and it is a John Wick roller coaster. The hotel in all the John Wick movies, it's called the Coliseum, right? I'm pretty sure that's what it's called. And the roller coaster is built to look like the hotel. Oh, no, the Continental. Sorry, not the Coliseum, the Continental. And the roller coaster is built to look like the Continental. And you can either choose to be on the John Wick side or on the enemy of John Wick side. And so you get two different perspectives in this roller coaster. And I just thought it was super cool. And so if you listen to the sit rep today, or you go into the description of today's sit rep, there's a link and you can see the mock-ups of what the roller coaster is going to look like. It's 10 stories tall. It's really cool. Where are the hoodies? It's getting chilly. Danielle, I am working on it. Damn it. I've been putting up little updates on what's going on with the online store. I know, Mark, right? He's like, holy shit. Hey, Ash, don't worry about being a little way late. It's all good. Penny says, I love Keanu Reeves. Hi, Mike. Wow, that is awesome, says Lisa. Hey, guys, says Jen. John Wick coaster is awesome. Yeah, you got to see the mock-ups online. It's pretty cool. So I've been keeping everybody with the Mistress Carrie backstage passes kind of up to date on some of the behind the scenes things that I have been working on. So we might as well talk about the backstage passes too. Welcome, Tim. He is the latest recipient of a Mistress Carrie backstage pass, which you can get on Patreon. So if you go to patreon.com/Mistress Carrie, you can get a backstage pass. And it's just extra stuff for me. You hear from me every day, exclusive photos. We do posts, blog posts, polls. And I've been doing some pictures of some of the mock-ups of some of the things that I'm working on for the online store, which is going to be part of mistresscarrie.com, which is coming very soon. And when Backstage Pass number 100 gets issued, you are going to get a very cool Mistress Carrie prize pack. So you can get your Backstage Pass, go to patreon.com/Mistress Carrie. And if you're lucky number 100, I will hook you up with a pretty awesome prize pack. So is MCHQ done yet? It's pretty close to being done, Billy. I did, with the Backstage Pass, put up a couple backstage pictures just to kind of give you an idea of what it looks like a little bit. And special prizes for sign up 107, says Mark. Let me get to 100 first, Mark, and then we'll see about 107. I loved Day's picture, says Melanie. Thank you very much. You got to get the Backstage Pass to know what we're talking about. It's still a work in progress, Melanie. I'm working on the lips. That sounded dirty. I apologize. It wasn't meant to be that way. But yes, MCHQ is coming along quite nicely. So there's a lot of exciting stuff that's happening. And I am hoping that the website and everything is up. We're like weeks away. I actually have a meeting with the webmaster on Friday because I'm not a webmaster and I need to kind of learn how to be one a little bit. So I'm taking webmaster lessons. MistressCarrie.com 101. I'm taking that on Friday. So, yeah, Dave says there's more than 100 people on here. Get that 100 pass. Just the lip, says Travis. I can't trust you guys with anything. You make everything dirty. I must bail, but I enjoy whenever I can catch. Good night, Carrie. Good night, John. Thanks for hanging out with us. All right. So there's a lot to talk about. We'll get back to the backstage pass and all of that other stuff coming up. Let's talk about this week's podcast episode and what you guys thought about episode 19 featuring Kevin Martin from Candlebox. There was I thought a lot of great stories that came from Kevin Martin from Candlebox. I love the stories about touring with Rush. I love the memory of the Jerry Garcia Chia Pet that the guys from Candlebox bought for the Rush guys. We took Geddy Lee collected the Chia Pets back in 1994 on that big Rush tour. And then to hear Kevin remind me that they bought a right-handed catcher's mitt for Neil Peart because he kept dropping drumsticks. How ballsy does a band on their first record have to be to buy a guy like Neil Peart a catcher's mitt so that he can catch his drumsticks better? It goes in the dictionary. Yes. Just found Hurricane Alice on CD and listening to it. That is awesome. Let's see. Next person to sign up for the backstage pass is number 69. That would be fantastic. Dirty minds are a terrible thing to waste. That's Ron. I get it. It was an amazing podcast, says Elsa. Yes, you are supposed to make everything dirty, Scott. I totally agree. Every podcast gets better and better. Thank you very much, Danielle. Great podcast. Stories were awesome. Interesting hearing about the business side of the tours. I thought you guys would think that was interesting, and I wanted to talk to him about it because Kevin is kind of the brains behind Candlebox, like he was talking about. And so every aspect of the tour and everything with the band goes through Kevin. And so I really wanted you guys to kind of understand why it is that some artists are finding it easier to tour than others. He is quite the scholar of all music. I loved it, says Brianna. Exactly. This episode had to be recorded in 2 parts because we recorded the main part of the episode the day Eddie Van Halen died, and he and I stopped talking before the news had broken. And there was just no way that I could release that podcast episode and not acknowledge that Eddie Van Halen had passed away. And so I called Kevin back and said, hey, can we get back on and talk about Eddie Van Halen? And of course he said yes. And sorry I'm late. I just got back from outside funeral. Neighbor's 7-year-old son died of neuroblastoma. Oh my God, Eric, I am so sorry. I'm glad that when you guys have a hard day, that this is where you come. So thank you for joining us, and I hope we can help make you feel a little bit better today. What's up, Sean? How are you? Let's see. I was sad for a moment thinking I shouldn't make anything dirty. Oh, no, you're fine, Scott. You can make whatever you want dirty. It's totally fine. Let me see. Ron, actually, the address has been updated a little bit. So if Ron is posting the address, let me update it for you. It's 68 Main Street, Unit or Suite 1086 in Leominster, Ron. So we don't use the P.O. box anymore because now it can accept packages and stuff with this updated address. So update the address for your records. We could talk about that later. Let's go back to the podcast recap. So I thought Kevin Martin had a lot of great stuff to talk about when it came to touring, the early days with Rush. And then obviously I thought his insight on Eddie Van Halen was awesome. And the story, when I asked him to talk about Eddie Van Halen, I didn't know about the golf story. And so when he told me that story about accidentally golfing with Eddie Van Halen and how Eddie Van Halen showed up in a convertible Ferrari with his golf club strapped to the passenger seat, I just thought it was freaking hilarious. So I'm glad that you guys loved the podcast. I've known Kevin a long time, and it was nice to catch up. He was so involved with WAF for so long. I mean, I met him when I was an intern. And then that Rush tour happened when I was on the street team, and we've just known each other so long that, to have Kevin be able to talk about those early days with WAF as well. And I thought it was really interesting, his perspective on Seattle and how when Candlebox got signed, like everyone in Seattle was getting a record deal. And hey, Karina says, I miss you all. I haven't joined in a little while. I feel like I need to catch up. You're welcome back anytime, Karina. People are busy. We're happy that you're back. Cheers to you. I'll have some more sangria. Thank you very much. The war room's always here for you. So you can come and hang out with us anytime. So I'm glad that you guys love the episode. This episode is also Seattle based, which I think is kind of interesting. This episode this week that goes live tomorrow is something a little bit different. And I am really, 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 really excited to talk about tomorrow's episode of the podcast. Now, new numbered episodes of the podcast go live every Wednesday, but technically it goes live in 3 hours because at midnight it becomes Wednesday. So new episodes of the podcast go live every Wednesday at midnight. And episode 20, I am excited to announce, is a guy named Aaron Jones. He is from Seattle. And he is this breath of fresh air of rock and roll that's coming out of Seattle right now. When I started this podcast, I was so excited to come into the war room and talk to you guys about what I dreamed this podcast could be. And the Mistress Carrie podcast is a rock lifestyle podcast, which means that we talk about music, but we also talk about all the other things that rock too. Travel, and we're going to be talking to people that have started liquor companies or, clothing companies. We're talking to the people that are behind the music as well, that make the instruments, that protect the rock stars. One of the other things that I wanted this podcast to be able to do was to be able to highlight new artists. One of the reasons you guys listened to me over the years at WAF was because you knew that I would turn you on to new artists. And now that WAF is gone in Boston, there really isn't a place for you to go to find out about new artists and new bands. And so I want the podcast to not only keep you in touch with the artists that you already love, but I also want the podcast to be a place where you guys give new artists a chance. And it's a way for you to get to know these artists from the beginning. I want these artists to get so huge, and then for you someday to be like, I remember when I heard about them the first time, it was on the Mistress Carrie podcast. The same way that when you look back at bands like Seven Dust or Korn or Linkin Park or, just the long Disturbed, the long list of bands that you heard first on WAF. I want to be able to expose you guys to new artists in the same way. And so I think this is an artist that you guys are going to love. So let me tell you a little bit about Aaron. Aaron grew up in Seattle. He taught himself how to play the guitar. He's one of those people that can just hear music and play it. He's completely self-taught. He never took a guitar lesson. He was discovered by Sir Mix-a-Lot, the I like big butts and I cannot lie. That guy from Seattle. He has opened up for everybody from B.B. King to Guns N' Roses, and his full-length album on Big Machine, which is John Varvatos' label, comes out in the early part of next year. And it's hard to describe the kind of music that he makes, but we talk about it in the podcast. If you can imagine a little Jimi Hendrix, if you can imagine a little Black Crowes, if you can imagine a little Rage Against the Machine, there's some hip hop flair in there. There's definitely blues inspired stuff. I mean, if you like somebody like Gary Clark Jr. and you love that tip of the cap to where rock and roll originated from, coming out of the blues, you're going to love Aaron Jones. His voice is so filled with soul, his guitar playing. You take all of those things and then you put it into Seattle. And we all know what Seattle does to the sound of music. And he's got that grunge vibe, but in a completely new way. And this is the first time that we're using the podcast to try and spotlight a new artist. And so I am really, 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 Godsmack, obviously, Carol. You guys are listing all of the bands that you heard first on WAF. Yeah, of course. So this is the first time that we're using the podcast to expose you guys to something new. And so I am, Eric says, my anaconda don't want none unless you got buns, hon. We actually talk a lot about Sir Mix-a-Lot, who he has a fantastic relationship with. One of his mentors is Duff McKagan from Guns N' Roses, who he bounces a lot of musical ideas off of. Diva says, I still listen to Sir Mix-a-Lot. I didn't know that Sir Mix-a-Lot was so heavily involved in producing other artists' records. This kind of ties to last week with Seattle. Exactly, Brianna. You know, last week we talked to an artist that kind of rode that Seattle wave during the height of grunge. And one of the things that Aaron Jones and I talked about was when grunge peaked and then started, to go away, making way in the late 90s and early 2000s for new metal and all of the other stuff that came out. Aaron Jones talked a lot about what it did to Seattle, because Seattle for so long was the epicenter of rock and roll, and then all of a sudden it wasn't. And so his perspective, keep rapping MC. I'm not going to do that, Monica. That's all I got. But I thought his perspective on that was really interesting, that, that the music industry really had an opportunity to kind of set up shop in Seattle. And they didn't. And so there's a lot of artists in Seattle that are not breaking out of Seattle. Like Aaron Jones broke out of New York because that's where he had to go to get noticed, even though he perfected his craft and played in all of the bars in Seattle and really built a name for himself there. And, there's artists like Mike McCready from Pearl Jam. These are the mentors of the up and coming artists in Seattle because they all stuck around and they're all still there. So I'm really excited about this episode of the podcast, and I hope that you guys listen to this episode and then go through the playlist, because one of the things that I do for every episode is I make a playlist with all of the music that gets talked about in that episode of the podcast. And it always features whatever band I'm interviewing, but then it also features all of the music that we talk about, so that if I'm ever having a discussion with a musician and we start talking about a band or whatever, and you're like, I've never heard of them, what do they sound like? If you go into the description, not only will you find all of Aaron's social media links in his website, his YouTube channel, all of that, but that playlist will also feature his music and then all of the other music that we talk about. And I'm telling you, there's everything from Guns N' Roses, Sir Mix-a-Lot, B.B. King, Living Colour, Fishbone, Rage Against the Machine, Gary Clark Jr. There's a lot of great music. Black Sabbath, Marilyn Manson. These are all artists that we talked about. And we had a great conversation. If you like the Daryl McDaniels episode of the podcast, Aaron is friends with Daryl as well. And I brought up that episode with Daryl because we were talking about how music has the ability to bridge gaps between groups of people. And Daryl and I have always talked about how Run DMC bridged the gap between, Caucasian suburban kids like me to hip hop. And Aaron Jones now was talking about how hip hop is the big music where that's kind of what that's the most popular music, the way that rock and roll used to be the most popular music. And Aaron is talking about how rock and roll is starting to come back in this new generation, and that he wants to be a bridge back to rock and roll. And you can really feel a lot of his influences. And when you listen to that guitar and you to know that he's self-taught, that he never took a lesson, that he just picked it up. He started with the violin, which he said he can't play, which I thought was hilarious, but he plays the shit out of a guitar. And I think that you guys are going to love it. I have a question. On average, how long are those playlists? I listened to the last one on and off for 4 days. It depends. It depends on how much music the artist released that I'm talking to in that episode. It depends on how many other artists we bring up. I think, this episode has probably got, I would say 30 songs on it, 35 songs on it, maybe. It could be more. I mean, there's a Pearl Jam in there. There's all kinds of stuff in there. Does anyone ever think when it's our time for a nursing home, the music activities will be playing? Yeah, exactly, Jen. Music and food does that with bringing people together, says Thomas. Exactly. And so one of the things I love about Aaron Jones is that you can hear, I described it like making, oh, sorry, I just punched myself in the boob. Oh, that hurt. I describe it like making stew or making gumbo, where you just are putting all of these different ingredients in and cooking it down until it becomes something different. And when you're listening to his music, you're going to hear all these different flavors and these different tones in his guitar, and you're going to hear his singing style. And I think you guys are going to love his music. I need an F-bomb, says Keith. Yes, he plays the shit out of a guitar, Scott. Yes, there's shit in guitars and he plays the shit out of it. Smart ass. I need a drink. Karina says, "Ugh, I miss my chucks and my flannel, all of this grunge talk." It's pretty cool that there's new music coming out of Seattle and that it's different. So I really hope that you guys like this episode. He and I had a really funny conversation about our spouses, because we share something in common with our spouses, and that neither of our spouses has anything to do with the music business. And so we were joking. I don't want to give everything away, but we were joking about the similarities that our spouses have. And so I think that, yes, Diva, it's sangria. And I think that you guys are going to get a kick out of it. I had never met him before I did this interview, and we connected online, and I recorded the interview so he and I could see each other. And so that was kind of strange, because this is also the first time I've interviewed someone for the podcast that I didn't know previously. And so it was really interesting getting to know someone for the first time, rather than them coming into the studio or me sitting in person with them backstage, like what would have happened if 2020 didn't suck a bag of dicks, but getting to know someone through a computer screen. And I think you'll hear in this interview that he and I hit it off immediately, and all of the people that we know that are in common with both of us, and all of the people from his record company and his management company told me that I would love him. And they were right, because he's just super cool. So please, if you have not listened to the podcast yet, subscribe to the podcast. This is all the places you can listen to it. Not only will you get episode 20, which comes out at midnight, but you'll also get all the sit reps as well. And then anytime we have a guest in Cocktails in the War Room, you get the after action report. So subscribe to the podcast if you haven't already. I really hope you love episode 20. And I have big news. We're now in 92 countries, which is just crazy. Welcome the U.S. Virgin Islands. And I don't know if this is because the new Borat movie is coming out, but country number 92 is Kazakhstan, which is just unbelievable. So we're worldwide, 92 countries and counting, which is just unbelievable. So I have you guys to thank. So keep spreading the word. There's the website that you can just go directly if you just want to click it and listen to the podcast straight off the web, or you can interact with the podcast in any one of these links or music streaming services. We got to talk about Bandcamp versus Spotify for an artist sometime. Sorry, Travis, your comment just got buried by everybody else. So a world domination. That's friggin' awesome. Congratulations. Zombie iced tea at Applebee's. Try it. I will do that. 92 says Paula. Amazing. Congratulations, says Trisha. My aunt lives in St. Croix. Well, Jared, if you are helping get the word out, I appreciate that. Prize for whoever gets what. Can we have a prize, Barbara wants to know, for who guesses what country will be 100? It's so crazy that it's spreading like this. I can't tell you. Like, every time I look, I'm like, are you kidding me? That now it's 92? My sister is number 2 prostitute in all of Kazakhstan. I know. It's freaking insane. Whenever I looked at the map, I was like, oh my God, the grayed out countries are the ones that have not downloaded the podcast yet. So we're starting to run out of countries. I mean, South America is pretty much almost all us. So we got to keep it moving. So you guys have got your marching orders. So there's all of the countries right there. So there you go. Let's make it happen. We need a guest appearance from Sacha Baron Cohen. Yeah, I would love that. Trust me, I would absolutely love that, but I don't know if I'm going to get him on here or not. All right, so that's the deal with the podcast. So you guys, I can't wait for next week so that you guys can tell me what you thought of Aaron Jones, and I really, really hope you love his music as much as I do. And I hope to do more of these things. I know that you guys want to hear from the artists that you know and love. But I also hope that you guys know I'm going to try and turn you on to amazing new music as well. And Bandcamp trying to help them during this time. Yes, I totally get it, Travis. It has been really hard for new artists. And Aaron Jones is one of the only artists that's kind of been able to pick up steam. Oh, wait, sorry. Nope. He's been able to pick up steam. I think just this week, he might get into the top 10 on the rock radio charts. But it's really hard to break a new artist right now, especially in the Northeast, because WAAF is gone. And I don't doubt the fan, Brianna. Trust me, I don't. So I'm really hoping that if you guys love his music, that you guys will also do me the favor and Aaron the favor of spreading the word about his music. Check out his videos. Share the podcast around. If you got friends that love blues guitar based rock, tip them off to it, because you guys are going to be the cool kids that kind of hear about everything first. And I'm really hoping that we, not only here in the War Room, but also with the podcast, are going to be able to help artists really get known. Because then when they come to town, it's going to be all of us at the show anyway, which is just going to be awesome. So Eric wants to know any famous tattoo artists lined up for the podcast. Not yet, Eric, but if you have suggestions on artists that you would like to hear from, post away. I would love to talk to tattoo artists. Obviously, there's so many bands that are covered in them, and it's definitely rock lifestyle. So yeah, I would love to talk to some tattoo artists for sure. All right, let's see. Let's talk about some music headlines, shall we? Now, of course, I'll give you the reminder that if you listen to the Sit Rep Monday through Friday, you will get music headlines sent right to your audio service, so you can get them every day. Don't forget the Pearl Jam stream. The concert stream is coming up this week. You'll be able to get access to it the 22nd through the 25th, celebrating the 30th anniversary of their first live show, and you can get it at nugs.tv. I loved these action figures when I saw them. So Super 7, which is an action figure manufacturer that specializes in making retro style action figures like from the 70s and 80s. They are making collectible action figures, and they made a Lemmy action figure to commemorate the 40th anniversary of Motorhead's album Ace of Spades. And then they made a Rob Halford action figure to commemorate the 50th anniversary of Judas Priest, which I still can't believe. I mean, between Aerosmith and Black Sabbath and Judas Priest, all starting the same year that AAF did, and that it's a 50th anniversary this year is just crazy. So if you go to Super 7, you go to their website, you can see the Lemmy and Rob Halford action figures, which are hilarious. Peter Frampton, his book came out today. It's called Do You Feel Like I Do? He talked about how his manager kept him so high on coke all the time so that Peter Frampton wouldn't catch his manager stealing all his money. And there's a really funny anecdote in the book about how Peter Frampton was rendered penniless. And that financial situation is what kind of forced Peter Frampton to take the acting role in Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band, which we have talked about several times here in the War Room. And it is one of my favorite movies from my childhood. It was Peter Frampton and the Bee Gees, and it was all Beatles covers in it. And there's Strawberry Fields, and there's Mr. Kite. And it's also the movie that was responsible for Aerosmith covering Come Together. George Burns is in the movie. I love this movie, and it failed in the box office and was a huge embarrassment. And Peter Frampton talks about the fact that he had to take the job in the movie because he didn't have any money because he was doing too much coke in the 70s and his manager stole all his money. So the book is out today, and that's just one of the many stories in the book, which is hilarious. I got to get a copy of it, and I got to get Peter Frampton on the podcast because I need to hear the Sgt. Pepper stories because I love that movie so much. Seven Dust, don't forget their live concert stream is coming up on Friday as well. It's going to be the only concert that they do all year, and it's because their new record is coming out on Friday. So new Seven Dust coming this Friday. Metallica's All Within My Hands, their first ever live stream concert, which is going to be for charity, comes out on November 14th. And Miley Cyrus announced today that she is going to record an album of all covers of Metallica music. And I'm trying to figure out. I mean, she can sing. I'm not taking anything away from her singing. And she did the Save Our Stages benefit over the weekend, and she covered the Cranberries. I mean, she's got a voice. I'm a little bit worried when people start covering Metallica, but we'll see what happens. So there you go. Yes, I got to talk to Zach Wilde about Death Wish for sure, and his special Valhalla blend. Yes, exactly, Travis. Seven Dust. Oh my God. Yes. I saw it at the drive-ins with my parents and they drove out early. I was young and didn't understand because I loved it. Exactly, Kathleen. And that's the thing. As a kid, first of all, it totally helped solidify my love of Beatles music. And I loved George Burns as a little kid. And I loved the costumes and all the singing because it's basically a musical film. And so I loved that movie. And I think adults at the time hated it, but I love it so much because it brings back childhood memories. So Miley and Metallica, heresy. I know, Travis, I know. So I gotta get a Peter Frampton interview for the podcast because I gotta talk to him about that story and so much more. So I thought that was really interesting. Got a little bit of mail call for you tonight. I got a postcard, and this might be like we've gotten very few postcards in the mail call, and I got this one, and it says Happy Halloween. Like, I love the fact that I got a Halloween postcard because you guys know how much I love this month. Started with my birthday. It ends with my favorite day of the year in Halloween that's coming up in just under 2 weeks. And you guys know how much I love Halloween. So I got this postcard. It says, Happy Halloween. Thanks for helping me survive and navigate this pandemic. Great job on the podcast. Keep being awesome. Take care, Will. So thank you very much, Will, because I love getting Halloween stuff. And it was nice to get an old school postcard. I got to be honest. It's very cool. And you guys know I love to get mail. So there you go. All right. We did the birthdays already. Tom Petty's birthday today. Snoop Dogg today. My nephew Brooksy's birthday's today. So cheers to you guys. Oh, God, you devil. Exactly, Dan. You started to talk about all the old school George Burns movies. Don't forget the new AC/DC. Yeah, actually, you know what's funny? Is that the news that we got about AC/DC originally was that Malcolm Young's guitar tracks were on the record. And now Angus is talking about how they did not use Malcolm's guitar tracks. However, Malcolm got writing credit on all 12 songs on Power Up, which is, yes, it's Sangria. So it's pretty interesting. Did you guys go on the Power Up website? You can make a logo of your initials in the AC/DC style of the album artwork of Power Up, which is really, really cool, like the neon lightning bolt and stuff. So if you want to go and make a cool initial thing in AC/DC style, you can do it on their website. I think I put it up on the Facebook page, actually, a couple of days ago, which is very cool. Let's see. What else did I want to talk to you guys about? We talked about Patreon a little bit. And the Backstage Pass. And I try to come to you guys in the War Room, every Tuesday night, the community that we are. And then we are developing this other community on Patreon with the Backstage Pass. And it's a place that I can go every day and talk about what it is that I'm doing, ask for opinions. I know that the people in the War Room are always going to be here with, everything that you want to know. And with the Backstage Pass, it's a little bit more of a smaller group. And it's great to be able to bounce ideas off of you guys and to be able to find out what you think about things as I expand the podcast, as I expand the business and kind of, as we get the website designed, and especially once we start moving forward with merchandise. Not only are you going to be able to get discounted merchandise with a Backstage Pass, but as I'm developing merchandise, the people with the Backstage Passes are going to be able to have input into the kind of stuff that I'm making and how I design it. And so if you don't have a Backstage Pass yet, you can totally get one. Super easy. Just go to patreon.com/Mistress Carrie. Donna says, I did my AC/DC initials because I saw your post. That was cool. Wish we could get a sign like that for home. I know, Joe, right? That would be very cool. When is the pajama party? Joe, I talked to Danielle the other day and I told her we needed to have a pajama party. She promised me it was going to happen, and I don't know when it's going to happen yet, but I am working on it. So as soon as I get it booked, you guys know that I will let you know. And obviously, as we're booking guests for the War Room as well, as soon as I book people, I'm going to let you know that too. So there you go. So there's all the details on the Mistress Carrie Backstage Pass. And just a reminder of where you can find me outside of the War Room, which of course is on Facebook because you found me here. Same handle for Instagram, Mistress Carrie WAF. And then you can find me on Twitter at Mistress Carrie, also TikTok, Cameo, YouTube, and Patreon. And don't forget those Cameo videos with Halloween coming. Maybe you want to get a video wishing your friends and family happy Halloween. If you have a big birthday coming up, a big anniversary coming up, if there's something to celebrate, getting engaged, getting divorced, whatever it is, commemorating a new house purchase, if you get a new car, if you want to break some news to your family, if you want to quit your job, whatever it is that you want to do, I can make a custom video for you right on Cameo. So you can go to cameo.com/Mistress Carrie. And I love doing these Cameo videos. They're so much fun. I love reading because I never know what it's going to be. Every video has been different. So if you guys have anything that you want to celebrate, and especially with the holiday season coming, right? Like nothing about the holidays is going to be normal this year. A lot of families aren't going to be able to get together or travel the way that they do normally. Gift giving is going to be a little bit weird. They're saying that this is going to be the biggest online retailing holiday in history because so many people are just going to be ordering stuff online, which is why I'm going to have the Mistress Carrie store online up before the holidays so that you can buy cool Mistress Carrie stuff for the holidays. But if you're looking for a gift for somebody that like kind of has everything already, you can send them a Cameo video. And you can also get them a Mistress Carrie Backstage Pass. So if there's somebody that you're friends with or you're related to and you don't know what to get them, hook them up with a Mistress Carrie Backstage Pass. And then they can kind of be included in all things backstage with me. And that can be your gift. Granddaughter just said she doesn't have a job. Let's see. Hoodies. Yes, I know, Danielle. The hoodies are coming. Damn it. I will give you this little nugget of information, Danielle, because you've been working so hard. We finally approved the purple flames. We've been working on the flame design, and we finally approved the purple flames that are going to go up the sleeves of the hoodies, the zip-up black sweatshirts. And so I'll give you that little nugget of information. We wanted to make sure that we got really cool purple flames on there, and so we finally got them drawn out and ready to go. So a new coffee mug, that is coming as well. I need to get my wife a hoodie. Yes, we are going to have those. I already ordered a bunch of gifts for my grandkids and a bag of dicks for my boss, says Kathy. So yeah, that is the plan, is to get the website and the online store up and running. I put in a huge order for a bunch of stuff the other day. And that's part of the holdup, is just getting everything designed and getting it ordered and getting it produced and getting it here, because I can't sell anything I don't have. Can you do a message with Wednesday for a 4-year-old's birthday? She watches with me from the start, and I think she would love it. I would totally do that, Linda. And the great thing about Cameo videos is that you can put all the information in that you want to help me get to know whoever the video is for. So obviously, if you tell me it's for a 4-year-old, I'm going to make a video that's acceptable for a 4-year-old. But if you tell me it's for somebody's 21st birthday, or, I can make it, customize the videos any way you want. So Wednesday it wouldn't be the first video that she's done. She, sometimes she can be a pain in the ass, but she likes making the videos with me. So yeah, I can totally make a 4-year-old's video. I can make a video for whoever. The live music scene needs your help, says Dan. Trust me. We desperately need to be able to go to shows. One of the things I forgot to talk about in the music headlines is Ice Nine Kills. They are doing a stream because they released a recording. They're releasing a live record of their performance at the Palladium last fall. And they're going to do a live stream on the 30th of October. And all of the money that they raise is going towards the Palladium, because that's one of those independent music venues that we're going to lose if we, can't find a way to keep it together. And unfortunately, the more bickering in Washington, they are not voting on that relief package, the HEROES Act, which has the Save Our Stages provisions as part of it. And so all these independent music venues, they have been shut down since March, and they have not gotten any aid. They didn't get any in the last relief package. And now this new relief package is held up in Washington and is most likely going to be delayed until after the election. And it's venues like that are holding on. They still got mortgage and taxes and everything else that they have to pay. I know, Ed, I miss going to concerts too. Will says onesie night. I am totally in. Oh yeah, we're doing onesies for sure. So you could check out the Ice Nine Kills live stream as well. So, big gig news, nothing to report as of yet. As far as I know, it is still happening in April. I don't know what's going to happen. If you had told me back in March when they postponed the big gig the first time that we would still be living the way that we're living at almost the end of October, I would have told you were high and full of shit. And obviously that is not the case. So there is no updated news on the big gig yet, but as soon as I get some, I will definitely let you know. Not going to complain when concerts open back up about the price of beer. I know, Ron, right? That first beer at a concert, it could be $100 and it's still going to taste so good. We are in danger of losing our local music scene. I know we are. And, you lose your local music scene. And then what is that going to do in a few years when these bands aren't getting discovered and they're not getting record deals? And I mean, the issues just compile, which is why I think it's so important that we support these new artists any way we can. And that's why I'm super excited about this week's podcast episode, because I want to turn you guys on to some new music and turn you guys on to a new artist that I think is really cool. And so I'm super excited for you guys to listen to the episode tonight. So let's see. You need to have Carmelita on. Yes, I do, says Keith. I do. I have not seen Carm since the station went off the air. However, I do know that Bay State Rock continues, and she's doing it online. So you can still go to the Bay State Rock Facebook page, and Carmelita is still at it, still supporting local artists the best way she can. And, the way that she knows how. And that's why she is awesome. All right, guys, I got to go do the sit rep. I haven't done tomorrow's sit rep yet. I got to do it. So, I got to go. I'm going to have some sangria. Cheers to you guys. Enjoy the podcast. Spread the word about Aaron Jones. Sit rep every Monday through Friday. So when you wake up tomorrow morning, there'll be a new and improved sit rep. And yes, it's getting recorded after I've been chugging down on Fernandez's sangria. So God only knows what it's going to sound like tomorrow.